Hiya guys, welcome back to Wentworth Life, the YouTube channel that talks all things Wentworth. If you're new to the channel, then hit that subscribe button right now for all future updates. And, as usual, if you stick around until the end of the video, I will be responding to some of your comments from a previous video. Okay, so most of us have had a good week to digest the Season 8 final. Now, I know the final is airing tonight on 5-star in the UK, so if you haven't seen the final yet, then I would advise not to watch this video until after you've seen tonight's episode. So, Wentworth might be in hibernation for the moment, but that does not mean that we can't stop talking about our favourite TV show in the meantime. So, while we wait for new information to come out for the final chapter next year, I am going to keep you guys entertained in the meantime. And in today's video, we are going to start with the top 10 moments from Season 8. So, starting us off at number 10, we have Ali chops off Lou Kelly's finger. Now, this is a scene that will probably stick with me for quite a while. I mean, in an extremely brutal scene, Ali decides to teach Lou Kelly a lesson after Lou had beaten up Boomer in the shower block. So Ali was the new top dog and we all wanted to see her in action, and the writers decided to show us this in the very first episode of Season 8. So when Ali's crew pin Lou down, Ali raises these big scissors to Lou's finger. But she does give it a chance by telling her to apologise to Boomer, but Lou, being the fearless person that she is, decides to give Ali some cheek by telling her that she ain't no top dog material, she's just some lips with eyelashes, and then comes the chopping moment that I think it went through all of us when we saw this moment. Ali presses down on those scissors for a good few seconds, cutting Lou's finger clean off. I mean, it's a shame we didn't get to see more of this during the season, as I personally would have loved, or would have thought that this would have been the start of an all-out war between Ali and Lou Kelly, but nevertheless, this was a great scene. Coming in at number 9, we have Anne Reynolds' backstory. So, the new general manager, Anne Reynolds, she arrived at the start of Season 8, and fans pretty much didn't like her, myself included. She was completely up her own arse, and she treated the prisoners appallingly in order to save the prison some money. And later on in the season, we learn a little bit about Anne Reynolds, and we found out that while Anne was working in the UK, her daughter Charlotte was killed during a terrorist attack. And we were treated to flashbacks of that very moment when Anne is looking around for her daughter just after the explosion had happened, and she ends up finding Charlotte laying dead on the floor. It was a very bold move for Wentworth to tackle this storyline, and for me, this made Anne a little bit interesting, only a little bit, and it also explains why she hates another newcomer, Judy Bryant, who is charged with terrorist offences. So it explains why Anne hates terrorists. And I also think that this storyline will be building up into the final chapter next season. So this has really got me excited. Flying in at number 8, we have Ferguson tries to kidnap baby Grace. So Ferguson was back this season, and in the first 2 episodes, it looked like that she was about to cause absolute havoc, especially for Vera Bennett. We learnt at the end of episode 1 that Ferguson had 2 fake passports, one for herself and one for baby Grace. So Ferguson is on a mission to kidnap baby Grace and do a runner to a new country. So the whole of episode 2 was quite a tense episode. There were a lot of scenes where baby Grace was left on her own, and the scene where Jake was babysitting Grace for the first time with that bloody window open had me on the edge of the seat the whole time. But the biggest moment was when Vera was at a petrol station late at night, and rather than disturb Grace just to quickly run in and pay for the petrol, Vera decides to leave her in the car sleeping. And I mean, it was only for 1 minute and she did lock the car. However, Ferguson is waiting at the bus stop just across from where Vera has parked her car. And she gets ready to make her move. She creeps over to the car and goes to open it, but luckily for Grace, Ferguson is interrupted by a homeless guy and then makes a run for it. That was a close one. Coming in at number 7, we have Ali tortures Mari. So this was a really tense and rather disturbing moment of the season. So Ruby had gone missing while out on day release, and Ali was convinced that Mari has had Ruby killed. So Boomer drags Mari to Ali's cell, and the pair of them start questioning her, with a couple of punches from Boomer. Judy then joins in on the interrogation, and she tells Ali that she knows a way to make Mari talk. So the three of them end up waterboarding Mari over the toilet, and Ali nearly ends up drowning Mari. Boomer tells Ali to stop, but Ali literally just tells the both of them to get out. So Ali continues to torture Mari for quite a long time, and in the end they both end up on the floor looking rather exhausted, and Mari is pretty much looking like she's half dead at this point. And Mari tries to talk to Ali, but Ali loses it and she ends up getting a shiv, and she almost stabs and kills Mari just before Boomer comes in and stops it. And it was a pretty crazy moment in the season, and I think this was the start of Ali losing complete control as top dog. Creeping in at number 6, we have Rita saves Ruby. So if there is one criticism that I have for season 8 is the lack of Rita corners. We needed more Rita. However, I do know the actress Leah Purcell wasn't completely available for season 8, so I suppose we should be glad that we got what we had for the season. So anyway, Ruby has been kidnapped by some dodgy cops that Rita is testifying against, and they want Rita to change her statement or Ruby will die. So Rita, currently in witness protection, ends up escaping and goes on the hunt to save her sister. And when Rita finally gets to the warehouse, she ends up having a massive struggle with one of the dodgy coppers, and she ends up accidentally shooting and killing him. And she then has another tense showdown with the other dodgy copper, who is holding a gun to Ruby's head, but luckily Rita always has a plan B and manages to whack the gun out of the guy's hand. He fires a couple of shots at Rita and Ruby but misses, and then does a runner. Now what I loved about this scene was the way that Rita shielded Ruby from those bullets. That is true sister love. Unfortunately, Rita ended up having to go on the run after this for the rest of the season. We only got to see her for one more scene, but fingers crossed we'll get to see a lot more of Rita next year. At the halfway mark now with number 5, and it's Ferguson's LSD trip. So Vera was starting to get pretty desperate by the end of this season, and she decided to work with Ali in trying to get Ferguson to drop the Amnesia Act. So Ali came up with a plan to spike Ferguson's tea with LSD, and Ali was then going to try and get Ferguson to try to admit that she was faking while she was spaced out on the drugs. But they would also need a camera to capture this confession, so Vera decided to bring in her baby monitor camera. Oh, what could go wrong, guys? Anyway, the plan doesn't go to plan, what a surprise, and Ferguson ends up freaking out. She ends up running down the prison corridors, throwing officers and inmates to the ground in a massive fit of rage. It was a great scene, and I loved seeing Ferguson go mental. And she ends up crying out that she killed her, which made no sense to anyone, although Vera tried to palm it off as a confession to the murder of Kath Maxwell, but Dr. Miller soon put a spanner in Vera's plan when he tells her that Ferguson has been spiked by LSD, and anything that she has said during her acid trip is meaningless. Oh, Vera, you should have already have known that. Never mind, better luck next time. We have a jaw-dropping moment now coming in at number 4, and it's when Judy stabs Ali. Now, I don't think any one of us were expecting this one. Ali had discovered that Judy had stolen Lou and Reb's mobile phone and taken the money for Reb's treatment, and Ali was getting the blame for it. So Ali was understandably really pissed off with Judy, and when Ali confronted her, Judy assured Ali that she was sorry and that she would return the phone and money. But in a later scene, when Ali was taking a shower, Judy runs up behind Ali and stabs her in the back, leaving her to die in the shower block. Now, I always had a feeling that there was something not quite right about Judy, but I wasn't expecting this. And we later learned that Judy uses the mobile phone and money to have someone killed. So, does this mean that Judy Bryant is indeed a terrorist? Well, we'll find out next year. And will Ali live or die? Well, the writers once again have left us hanging, but my gut feeling tells me Ali will survive. Okay, so coming in at number 3, we have What's Going On in Ferguson's Head, or pretty much episode 4. So this was probably my most favourite episode of season 8, and it focused mainly on Ferguson being stuck in a coma and what was going on inside her head. And it was also the moment when Vera, Will and Jake learn that Ferguson isn't dead. So we had a lot going on in this episode, but there was some amazing scenes when we delve into the mind of Ferguson, and I think the scene that sticks out the most for me in this episode was when Jake was about to hotshot Ferguson in the hospital. But in Ferguson's mind, she was burying her real Joan Ferguson personality, as she was going to be taking on the Kath Maxwell identity. And before waking up and seeing Jake at the bedside, just before he has a chance to hotshot her, she opens her eyes. It was such a good moment. And of course, we also have the ending of this episode where Ferguson comes face to face with Vera, Will and Jake for the first time. And it just had the hairs standing up on the back of my neck. It was outstanding. This whole episode was Wentworth at its best. And just missing out on the top spot, we have Lou Kelly's mini riot. So, we were all waiting for something like this to happen all through the series, and even though it was short-lived, it was still a good little riot, wasn't it, guys? And I do believe that this mini riot was just a little warm-up to the main event, which I think will happen in next year's season. But in this scene, Lou Kelly gets the women to riot to cause a distraction for Joan, who Lou has instructed to poison Dr. Miller with rat poison. So the women end up smashing up the laundry and the corridors, and then Lou gives some of her mates a swipe key, and they end up in the creche area where all the staff's babies and children are kept while they are working. So it's a very tense moment because the women nearly get into the creche, and Linda tries to stop them, but she ends up as a blubbering mess on the floor. But then Vera comes in as super ninja and saves the day, and it was pretty awesome, wasn't it, guys? And the riot is then short-lived after because Ali ends up lagging on Lou Kelly. But like I said, I feel this was just a little warm-up to something bigger that's going to happen next season. And what this mini riot did show us is that Lou Kelly has the power to control the women if she needs to. And in our top spot at number 1, we have Joan Ferguson gets her memory back. Now, it was the moment we'd all been waiting for. None of us was sure if Ferguson was faking it or not, but all was revealed in the final scenes of season 8. After Vera ordered Linda to put a spit bag over Ferguson's head, and this resulted in Ferguson getting flashbacks of everything and getting her memory back. She was no longer Kath Maxwell by the end of this scene. In fact, Ferguson even goes to the mirror and in her own words, "I am Joan Ferguson, I am the freak." It was a chilling scene, and it revealed to the audience that she wasn't faking her amnesia at all through the season, and she was being genuine. But now, Vera doesn't know it yet, but she has just let the genie out of the bottle, and Ferguson will be coming for her in the final chapter next year. It's going to be off the scale. And that was the top 10 moments of season 8. So, do you guys agree with my list? Let me know in the comments box below, and let me know what was your favourite moment from the whole of season 8. You can only pick one moment. Let me know in the comment box. And seeing as we're on the subject of comments, it's now that time, comment replies. So we have Christopher James. She will finally come for that shiny little crown. Yes, Christopher, she is back and she is coming for that crown. Thank you for your comment. And we have B. Scrafton. Ali is definitely not dead. They wouldn't have had her looking at Lou as she passed out for no reason, other that when she recovers, she will believe it is Lou that tried to kill her. I think it's going to be Rita, Ali and Crew versus Lou and Joan and Crew, with Mari and Judy with their own agendas. Yes, I actually quite like that theory, and I agree. I don't think Ali is dead. She'll be back. I do feel she'll probably end up in a wheelchair and her top dog days are over. And it'll be, like I said, it'll be interesting journey for Ali if she does end up in a wheelchair. But yes, Ali, I don't think she's dead at all. So I love your theory. Thank you for your comment. And we have Johnny Barr. Really hope the content continues until we have Wentworth back in the new year. It's my favourite channel and love the content, so well done. And love the new title sequence for Wentworth Life. Oh, thanks Johnny. Yes, I am going to be continuing with new videos, new content, top 10, top 5s, character journeys and spoilers when they come up. So make sure you stay subscribed guys, because I'm going to fill your Wentworth gap. Thank you for your comment, Johnny. And we have Queen Bee. I love this season, full of interesting characters. I will say they need some better security in that shower. That's where most of the bad shit goes down. I'd shower on the buddy system. Yes, Queen Bee, I have to agree. The shower block is a very dangerous place, and I don't know why something hasn't been done about that already, because we've got Ali getting stabbed recently, we've had plenty of people getting attacked, we've had Sonia thinking that she's killed Liz, but it wasn't Liz, it was Sharon, if I remember correctly. It was somebody called Sharon. So there's been a couple of brutal murders in there. We got B getting attacked way back in season 2. So yeah, they really need to up their security. I agree, Queen Bee. Thank you for your comment. And we have Amy, Joe, Michael. I am Joan Ferguson. OMG, that gave me chills. Yes, Amy, gave me chills too. In fact, I've actually played that final scene over and over again on YouTube. It's amazing. Thank you for your comment, Amy. And we have Mary Hughes. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Craig. Wow, this was Wentworth at its finest. When will season 9 come back? I was really trying to like Joan. Wow, can't wait to see this season. It would never been so exciting if it wasn't for you. Thanks again. Oh, thank you, Mary. Yeah, that's an amazing comment. And yes, season 9, I don't know when it's going to be back. It'll be back sometime next year. I'm hoping it's not going to be as late as this year's was. Obviously we know why. It was due to the COVID-19 outbreak, but fingers crossed now. It should go ahead hopefully a bit earlier next year, so we haven't got so long to wait. So but anyway, thank you for that amazing comment, Mary, and thank you all for your comments. You're all absolutely amazing. Please keep those comments coming. Okay, so if you've made it this far into the video, then thank you all for sticking around. Make sure you smash that subscribe button, and I will see you all again very soon.